Thinking about college? Why not consider the school that U.S. News and World Report once called adequate, Quendleton State University.
QSU offers courses in literally every discipline there is,
regardless of real-world application.
This is the first time I've been in this class all semester, but it's so big I can do whatever I want. Look, I'm playing Tekken.
I fail students who disagree with me.
Quendleton State University.
If we were a good university, we wouldn't have a commercial.
Okay, so that's a parody of an actual college commercial by the comedy group College Humor TV. But it strikes a nerve. Just ask our intern, Mara Melitz. We forced poor Mara to listen to real commercials for colleges and universities. Hi, Mara.
Hi, John.
So what, if anything, did you learn from watching all these college ads?
Well, I listened to a lot of slogans, and I mean a lot. One college calls its program a journey to excellence. Another says it's a foundation for life. And another says it'll give you an education for good.
And you totally remember which was which, right?
Not at all. Here are some more. Some colleges tell you to be the change or to dream big. Or they say innovation drives us forward. Or that they're for everyone, anytime, anyway. But here's my personal favorite from the University of Alabama, where legends are made.
Well, I'm sure those mind-numbing jumbles of words can really make a college stand out from its competitors. Or maybe not. But as funny as it sometimes seems, marketing and advertising by colleges and universities is deeply serious, expensive, and increasingly high-tech. The higher education industry spends much, much more on it than you probably think. The higher ed marketing firm Simpson Scarborough finds that medium-sized universities spend, on average, almost $7,000 per student per year on marketing and communications. Sometimes that's more than they spend on financial aid or even teaching.
While we let all of that sink in, welcome to College Uncovered from GBhnews and the Hechinger Report, a podcast pulling back the ivy to reveal how colleges really work. I'm Kirk Carapezza with GBH.
And I'm John Marcus at the Hechinger Report.
Colleges don't want you to know how they operate, so GBH,
in collaboration with the Hechinger Report, is here to show you.
Today on the show, the M word.
Kirk, the M word stands for marketing, and that's something colleges and universities once turned up their noses at ever doing. But then enrollment started to decline, and for-profit colleges like the University of Phoenix that were sucking up part of the market, they might have a poor track record of actually giving students the results that they promise. I mean, some of them have even closed or they were forced out of business because of dishonest practices. But these colleges were great at marketing themselves.
So my kids don't have to forage, got 2 jobs to pay a mortgage, and I've also got a brain. Life's short, talk is cheap, I'll be working while you sleep. Still don't think I've got a brain.
I mean, who can forget that tearjerker of a commercial with the waitress studying in the storeroom during her break?
That ad was incredibly effective and really made the case for college.
I took 2 bullets in the chest, got 3 kids, I never rest. And I've also got a brain. You think a resume's enough?
After that, traditional colleges also started buying increasingly sophisticated and expensive kinds of advertising. The goal was to convince you that they're worth the price.
So colleges now spend an estimated $2.2 billion a year just on advertising, and that's been going way up by about 10% a year since 2018. That's because enrollment has been going way down. It's down by 13% over the past decade, with another big drop coming in the next few years. So some colleges are fighting to stay in business.
Part of what's keeping high school graduates from going on to college might be the hot labor market. Part of it is demographics. But part of it is also because fewer Americans believe in college. A Gallup poll found that only half of people consider college to be very important. That's a huge drop from just a decade ago. So all of this marketing and advertising is a way that colleges are trying to change people's minds.
The customer base is shrinking. naturally shrinking. So everybody is now waking up to the fact that we have to fight for market share. It's something that's happened in every other industry for the past century, but it's new to higher ed.
That's Bill Faust. He's the president of Ology, a marketing and branding company that works almost exclusively with colleges and universities.
Today, when we look at the world, we see more. More opportunity for progress. More potential for connection.
At 3/4 of universities and colleges now, the chief marketing officer is part of the president's cabinet, which is the highest level of leadership. At the biggest universities, those chief marketing officers are getting paid as much as $450,000 a year, and they oversee dozens of employees whose only job is to work on marketing, advertising, and communication. Bill Faust says marketing has come to play a major role in how colleges are run.
Leadership has said, we need a true marketer and we need a seat at the table, and then we need to give that marketer the budget and the staff to do what happens at GE or Apple or in organizations like that truly market their products.
It wasn't long ago that marketing by universities was about T-shirts and window stickers and things like marketing and branding. They were dirty words. But as life gets tougher for colleges, Faust says that's changed.
We got the M word, but we also got the B word, brand. And there were some campuses where we couldn't say that. We had to talk about storytelling or things like that, which is not a bad idea because you do want to create some alignment. In our early days, there was a lot of resistance. We heard a lot of that, skepticism, negative. It's much less than it was then. You're always going to have a few skeptics. Every time we do a project like this, we kind of monitor the places where faculty and staff, kind of share ideas. And you'll see why are we spending this money? Why have we hired this firm? But it's so much less than it used to be.
Some of the best known and most prestigious traditional colleges and universities are doing this now. The marketing firm American Caldwell found that the biggest spenders include Johns Hopkins University, which spends nearly $30 million a year in advertising. New York University spends more than $25 million. So do UPenn and Northwestern.
These colleges are doing just fine enrollment-wise, but they advertise the programs that make a lot of money for them, like online and continuing education and graduate programs and those kinds of things.
At least that's according to the ones that would tell us where the money's going. The rest, they didn't even want to talk about it.
But tax documents, they show that Southern New Hampshire University, which serves mostly online students, spends nearly $190 million a year on advertising and promotion. That comes to about 1/6 of its total budget.
For people like me who are maybe contemplating whether or not they can fit this into their lives, it is possible.
What's really incredible about taking online courses at SNHU, I could study whenever and wherever I wanted.
I ended up spending less money my entire time at SNHU than I did in just 1 year at my other university.
Advisors, professors.
Yeah, it's hard to say whether all of this is driving up the cost of college, but we do know there are schools that now spend even more on marketing than on services for students. ProPublica and the Detroit Free Press found that Baker College in Michigan spent more on marketing, get this, John, than on financial aid. Amber Villalobos is a fellow at the Century Foundation, a think tank where she studies marketing and advertising by colleges. She thinks there are a lot of other things that colleges could do with that money and maybe get a better return on it for students.
They could, for example, provide institutional aid to students. They could also increase faculty hires in order to improve faculty to student ratios, provide smaller class sizes to support student learning. And another benefit of increased faculty hires would allow institutions to offer more courses. So, for example, students won't have to remain on lengthy wait lists or delay their graduation when they're unable to enroll in key courses.
Some members of Congress have proposed requiring colleges to report what they spend on marketing or advertising, or ban them from using any federal money on marketing if they fall below a certain level of spending on education. But that legislation, it hasn't gone anywhere. Meanwhile, colleges are getting much more sophisticated about how they sell themselves to students. They're hiring top marketing professionals who previously worked in the private sector, like Arizona State, which hired the former senior vice president at Coca-Cola and chief marketing officer at Outback Steakhouse. And Purdue hired Ethan Braden. He used to be the marketing director of the pharmaceutical company Eli Lilly.
To help lower my A1C, I choose Trulicity to activate my within. Ask your doctor if once weekly Trulicity is right for you.
Yeah, if there's a top dog in higher education marketing, it's Ethan Braden. So I reached out to him to talk about all this.
I think it probably follows the same arc that the marketing sophistication and maturation has taken in other industries as well. It's just been maybe a bit behind. So what did it look like in the past? It was a push. It was a one-way, monologue. It was a college or university telling hordes of students and their families, why this institution matters based on what they think, what they want them to think, what they want them to see.
Now, marketing by colleges is much more two-way. A lot of it is digital. You'll find YouTube accounts showing days in the lives of students and Instagram takeovers. And some of them are really well produced, and they get a lot of views.
It's Olivia Jade. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, as you can tell by the title, I am doing a dorm room tour. So I have a roommate. I'll show you guys the full room, but I'm not gonna go into her stuff, obviously. Today, Amazon is coming to shoot some of my room because
the universities are watching students too. Ethan Braden says they're basically watching who's watching.
We're looking at likes, we're looking at comments, I'm looking at saves, profile views, story replies. We're looking at whether or not a piece of content has a click-through rate and it creates action, whether it's an inquiry, whether it's an application, whether it's they spent more time on other websites, etc. So that that information allows us to tailor what we're giving them in response.
By doing this, Purdue and other universities can see what works best with prospective students and their parents. Braden walked us through the way Purdue tested two specific messages.
One is that Purdue University has frozen tuition for 12 years now, saving students and their families a collective $1 billion during that period versus had we just raised rates consistent with the Big Ten. The other would be that Purdue University's produced 27 astronauts, the most of any non-military academy university. I thought astronauts would do pretty well. I actually did. I thought it would test well. I thought it would test well with parents, and it didn't. And the tuition freeze performs extremely well, especially with parents. Again, I come back and I'm able to tell our marketers, hey, we need to talk about the tuition freeze in particular with parents and probably don't waste the real estate on that claim that talks about our 27 astronauts.
This type of strategy seems to be really effective. Purdue has seen a 30% growth in its enrollment in the past 10 years, and applications have doubled in the last 5. Here's Braden again.
It's all about positioning, right? It's about occupying a unique mind space in the head of that student or their family or the influencers in that family's decision. And so being able to personalize, to tailor, to test, and to measure those tactics is what we should expect in this day and age.
Not all colleges have gotten on board with this. Some are still not really doing anything to differentiate themselves from their competitors, with the same drone footage of brick buildings around a grassy quad and shiny labs or football games. That parody commercial we played at the top of the episode, it isn't that far from the truth. Maybe one of the oddest decisions was by Kean University in New Jersey. It became the quote-unquote official education partner of, wait for it, the New York Jets.
Someday it may pay off. Jets down 3. 2 minutes left, out of timeouts. 3rd and 8 for Kansas City.
Well, I guess that will get you students if they're not Patriots fans. Did the university tell you how much they paid for the honor of being the official educational partner of the then last place Jets?
Nope, they didn't want to talk about it. In fact, the university put in the contract that the financial details wouldn't be disclosed. I mean, who would want to admit that they were actually paying for what was essentially an endorsement from the New York Jets? But it's a public university, so we filed a public records request and found out that the university was paying the Jets $250,000 a year for 3 years, with the option of a 2-year extension at another $250,000 a year. That might seem a questionable investment, but some for-profit colleges have been accused of making advertising claims that are downright untrue. The Federal Trade Commission warned 70 schools that it's cracking down on false promises about the earning prospects of graduates and the percentage who get good jobs. The University of Phoenix had to pay $190 million to settle charges by the FTC that it used deceptive advertising.
John, it seems like there's a lot of money here changing hands, and not much of it actually benefits students.
Yeah, so a group of graduates of the University of Southern California has also filed a class action lawsuit accusing USC of false advertising by saying that online courses were the same as in-person ones. And the for-profits are still blazing trails too, though not necessarily in a good way. The advocacy group The Century Foundation found one website that poses as a best colleges ranking, but these supposed rankings are actually paid for by the colleges. We'll tell you more in our next episode about the way that colleges, and not just for-profit ones, use websites like this and other misleading ways to get your most personal information.
So the advice of advocates is to be a smart consumer. Do your own research and don't make decisions based on slick advertising that's designed to tug at your emotions. The great Will Rogers once said, if advertisers spent the same amount of money on their products as they do on advertising, then they wouldn't have to advertise them. Here's Amber Villalobos again.
There's been evidence where some of the marketing isn't completely honest.
But in the brave new world of public skepticism about the value of higher education, Eaton, Braden, and others say that colleges have no choice but to step up their games.
I think about 4,000 or 5,000 universities in the market with declining birth rates, with declining college going rates. So the demand for that product is going down. In that environment, what's so important is if we look at marketing as, again, this opportunity to tell the world or converse with the world as to who we are, what we stand for, and why they should care, that's critical.
That means you can expect more ads for colleges with sophisticated marketing to pop up in your social media feeds, and more sales pitches like these from colleges that continue to do things the old way.
Because today is now, and tomorrow is soon. And to get ahead of the game, you gotta get ahead of your time.
With each step, we move forward, taking big strides, our progress continuing on an upward trajectory.
Come create and calculate. Shatter both records and stereotypes. Build improbable machines and impossible medicines. Unleash masterpieces and birth theories.
With those parting words from Ferris State University and the universities of Louisville and Michigan, this is College Uncovered. I'm John Marcus from the Hechinger Report.
And I'm Kirk Carapezza from GBH.
Be sure to keep listening to future episodes to hear more about what colleges and universities don't teach you.
Our show is created by John
and Kirk and edited by Meg Woolhouse.
Gary Mott and David Goodman are our mix engineers. Our audio advisor is Devin Robbins.
All of our music is by college bands. Our theme music is Groundswell by Left Roman out of MIT.
College Uncovered is made possible by Lumina Foundation.
We'd love to hear from you. Send us an email to gbhnewsconnect@wgbh.org and tell us what matters to you and what you want to know about how colleges really operate.
Thanks so much for listening.
GBH.